Hello and welcome to the Sometimes Serious Sunday Show. The show's going to be a little different from our normal Sunday show. We just wanted to take a couple of minutes to just, uh, how to put it best, show solidarity for the constantly evolving situation in America, the terrible atrocities that are being committed by the police, the fact that there are people out there fighting for their basic human rights and for their actual survival. It it's going to sound really hollow coming from three white guys living in England for us to be talking about the situation for black people in America. But I've been seeing a lot recently about how staying silent is the same as being complicit. And I feel like we had to say something. And before we get into anything, before we actually dive deep on this topic, I just wanted to say I'll echo what I tweeted out last week. We very rarely agree on stuff here on the Sometimes Serious Show, very rarely. But one thing we do all agree on, and I'm willing to speak for these two when I say Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
I think I think the situation that's going on there is horrific. I don't personally support all of the looting, but I understand it. I understand that now's not the time for, you know, sit down, shut up, and sit in the corner and be quiet will get to you. No, black people are being murdered in the street. And I think these protests are showing that off more than any other time. The way the police have been acting and reacting has been atrocious. We just literally, 10 minutes before reading this, we were discussing a story that was only happened a couple of days ago where some young black teenager was just shot in the head by a rubber bullet, and he's now in hospital with brain injuries, with like proper brain damage. And then all of the people who were trying to help him also got fired on by the police. It's, I don't know, it's sickening to see how little care for humanity is being shown. And I don't really know what to say. I know there's going to be a movement of not all cops, and I kind of get that. But this isn't one of those times where it can be like, hey, a few bad apples. Yeah, it is a few bad apples, but my God, there appears to be a lot of bad apples right now, pushing and shoving journalists, pushing an old man down to the street, just shoving him so he fell and cracked his head open and then started bleeding, but no one went to help him. Breaking up peaceful protests. It's not all cops, but it looks like the majority. What do you guys want to say about it?
Yeah. I. You can't really add a lot to that, can you? It's just absolutely disgusting how these protesters have been, of how the police have been acting towards them. I mean, you'd think that they would think somewhere in their head, oh wait, hang on a minute, this person that I'm pushing down is a human being. Someone has a family, someone that is a son or a daughter, and it appears like that it just never occurs to them, and that they're just heartless. And it's sickening. It's heartbreaking. Like it makes you just want to curl up and cry. It's like, why is this happening? What on what stance does the police have anywhere to do this?
I
Not sure they do, but go ahead.
I feel sorry for everyone who's been a victim of this, but I am, as much as I'm sorry, I'm also angry at the cowardice of the police, the ones that are committing these acts, that are hiding their faces, hiding their badge numbers, just because they don't want the repercussions. They're absolute cowards for it. If you're gonna do something like that, show your face. Show your face so that we can show you how wrong you are. You need to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And right now, that may seem like a laughable sentence because it is the people who are meant to upkeep the laws that are committing such heinous acts. But they need to know that they are not immune to those laws.
I could not agree more with that sentiment. There definitely does feel that there's it doesn't matter, you're a cop, we can get away with it. No. If you want to build trust in your communities, if you want people to be able to trust you and go to you in their time of need, which is what you should want as a police officer, then you've got to start somewhere, and I think a good place would be owning your mistakes, showing your face, actually being there for the community. Don't just shoot people. Don't just because of the colour of someone's skin, you just persecute them. It was a really weird, this is a slight tangent, but it was really weird for me how, when it all started, and I was hearing stories about black people were saying that, there are, like, where they live, there's places they just can't go because they're afraid of getting murdered. And that was just such a culture shock for me, just being like, holy shit, it's really that bad. And yeah, I'm not sure what else we can say. We do not want to be complicit, and we won't be. So we are standing and saying, Black Lives Matter. Don't, cops, please, stop. Your boss might be telling you, oh, if they're coming at us and walking at us, just put them down. Light them up is one of the terms I heard, which blew my mind. You're an officer of the law. You're not in Afghanistan. Light them up. Really? Maybe have the backbone and the morality and the ethical compass enough to be able to turn to your commanding officer and say, what the hell do you want me to do? No, I'm not going to open fire on unarmed civilians. Maybe do that.
I want to say thank you to everyone that took up their time to volunteer to help all these individuals. I want to say thank you to all those people because, quite frankly, there aren't enough of you in the world. There aren't enough people who are willing to give up their free time or just give up their time full stop to actually make sure that these people who are protesting the injustices are actually looked after. I read a story where a bunch of protesters were allowed into someone else's apartment, house, something like that, to get off the street so that they weren't being shot at and beaten by the officers, and the officers were trying to, get the house owner or the resident officer to building to get all of those protesters out of there, and that person did not cave. They said no. They kept the cops outside, they kept the protesters safe inside. I'm glad they did. To everyone that's doing anything like that, to everyone who is helping out in any way and is genuinely helping rather than fanning a flame, then yeah, thank you. I am in agreement that the looting and all of that, it's not necessary, but right now that's not the main issue.
Yeah, I cannot echo the point of thank you enough. And I think that's all we're really not educated on this topic, and it's not really our place to say any more than what we've said, apart from, I think to echo Menzies here, thank you, and we'll just leave it with Black Lives Matter.